Hello and welcome everybody to episode 1 of season 2 of the Rugby League Roundtable. I'm James Graham, the host of the Buy Round. We are joined by the administrator, Tony Mestrov, the coach, Shane Flanagan, the player, Aaron Woods, and the journo, Brent Reid. Today's topic is the officiating of the game. Boys, this year, a lottery is being kind. Where are we at with it? I'll open it up to the floor.
Well, you go fly.
Why are you looking at me? Look, as a coach in the Dragons, I think, there's a couple of games there that, I thought we had some tough decisions. But, probably the biggest one, are in the big games, which we saw on the weekend, the obstruction, and we just want to get those things right. And, I've got a different view on it a little bit that, we don't need a perfect game. Like, it's played by imperfect people. And if it's perfect, who cares? We want to see, some different stuff in our game. Players taking control and being different. And, the referees aren't going to be perfect. The players aren't going to be perfect. So we just got to accept it. As I said, I think if it was a perfect game, no one would be interested. And
a game like chess has got rules, right? And you can't break those rules. And our game, it's got, it's got laws, not rules.
Yeah.
It's got laws, and there's different interpretations. There's, really in the tackle, the law book says you have to release immediately.
we just want to be consistent.
Oh, don't hit me with that word. I hate that word.
We do.
I hate it. It's impossible.
No, that's always rules
already.
Because human beings are inconsistent. You go from one referee to a second referee, that you're not going to get consistency unless you have the same referee.
What about the
every
obstruction
game.
rule? Well, can we be consistent on that?
Clearly we can't.
Well, we should be able to.
We've got different people in the bunker who have did look at it differently.
But from a coach,
You will never have, the word consistency should never be used because you'll never have it.
well, these three played it at the game. You can't run to at the outside shoulder of, if you're a lead runner, you need to get to the inside. You need to get through.
They admitted that was odd.
But that's what we're asking for,
wrong.
consistency.
Yeah, but occasionally they're going to make blues.
Don't you think they're lost already? Like, they've lost their way. Like, they tried to rule every rule. Like you said, it's an imperfect game in a lot of ways, but they're trying to stick by the rules. That's a problem. You cannot stick by the rules. Since they put the whistle away, the game's been a lot better. If you go back, I don't want to go to our own plight at Manly, but the 3 sin bins against the Tigers, right? That didn't happen again, and it can't happen because you can't win the game. So I think when the refs put the whistle away and they have a better relationship with the players, 'cause I think at the moment they're talking down. If you go back in time, they had somewhat of a relationship. I think we need to go back to that, and we'll be more.
That's a different issue, though, I think.
Well, I've got an issue for you, Reedy. What about at the moment? So all season we get refereed in a certain way. As soon as we get to semi-finals, they take the P out of the whistle. So boys like Flanagan have come up with systems that they need to work hard on, like little things in games what they want to test the referee with. You get in that first semi-final and actually try and ref the game. Players were laying on that much. And then in the final the other night, I think it was Grant Atkins, he blew the P out of the whistle at the start of the game. It was that stop-start.
My
That was hard to
counter to
watch.
that would be, Woodsy, when do you ever see the 2 best teams generally there at the end of the season, right? The 2 best teams generally play in the grand final, and the best team normally wins it. Penalties have been the best team for the past 3 years. So it doesn't have that bigger impact on the competition. We say it impacts the competition, but I don't think it actually does that much. I think the results, the best team in the 25 years I've been doing it, the best teams won it every year. So it can't be having that bigger impact on the competition.
It was a big impact on the game the other night that I commentated on the Friday night was the knock-on. 24-18 Roosters.
It was a big call.
They got a big momentum swing.
Yeah.
Little things like that are ruining our game.
Well, I don't think the game's getting ruined. I think it's going a bit too far. On the other, I would counter that. The reason that they're not blowing the whistle as much in the finals is because the best teams are playing in the finals. And when they're in the finals, they're going to be more disciplined, give away less penalties. That's their argument, right?
Don't you think it's a bit of a worry when Ivan Cleary goes he's a bit anxious about next week with some of the decisions that they're making?
That was a poor call. And occasionally, but when
But how's it a poor call when you go up to the bunker?
From
the bunker.
Oh, right. Okay. But
Yeah.
for me, it's not that difficult to get correct.
I think all of us were the same opinion on that try. It was,
Yeah.
So,
I also think that in big games, Origin, semi-finals, that both coaches know this is going to be refereed different because the referee wants to get the job the following week or wants to referee for 3 Origins or wants to get the grand final job. He's not going to go out there and blow the P out of it He's going to referee, let it flow, which I think we all want.
Flan, you as a coach, you correct him in what you say, and what we've seen this final series is the environment has changed. So what was the way the environment was shaped by the match officials in the opening exchanges of the season was different to the middle part of the season, and it's certainly different towards the back end, where it seemed to be more of an emphasis on blowing penalties. That has then since dropped.
Yeah.
You as the coach, when you see that environment, so this is the trouble with it. When you all say about not blowing too many penalties, the coach then goes, hang on, we can get away with more. Is that something that you are instructing your players to play to the environment?
Without a doubt. If you're in a semi-final and big games, Origin, as I said before, that referees have some trends and have some traits. And we talk about during the year, whatever referee it is, we know that most of their penalties are going to come from holding down or standing up, holding the football, or they've got a bit of a tendency to, pinch on the 10, or early on they like to give a penalty away. We've got those trends from different referees. And obviously, the good coaches, which we've got at the moment, two of the best coaches in there, they're going to play right to the referee. They're going to know that Ashley Klein very rarely gives away penalties early. He'll let it flow. Craig's side will hold down, and so will Penrith. They've got to play to the whistle, and it's not cheating. It's just playing to what they know and their strengths. And good luck to them. That's why they're in the grand final.
But where do we go as a game, though, Flano? Next year, is it going to be something's going to be policed harder than others? I think we're lost as a game, like where we're going. We put away the P for the semis, put away for Origin, then blow penalties all year. It's just not consistent. And look, at the end of the day, I think it needs to change.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from, but I hate to do this, agree with Reedy. That
Wow.
Yeah, I know. But the game, I don't think the game is. I love the game, and I think it's in a good place at the moment. And all the things we talk about is because we love the game, and we just want, you want your team into the finals. Yeah, we know that, and we don't want referees to make bad decisions. Yeah. But that's the imperfect part of the game that we love. Someone charging out of the line, and unfortunately sometimes they're going to get someone in the head. That's the game, and it always has been the game. Players are going to make mistakes, referees are going to make mistakes.
We've been having these same conversations for 20 years because we're always chasing perfection. You're never going to get it. No. We brought in the bunker because we thought the bunker would give us perfection. We were told the clangers would be eliminated from the game. They haven't been, because you've got human beings controlling the bunker, and human beings make mistakes.
Okay, so in order to use that word that you hate, the consistency, one of the issues is the bunker. And maybe we can argue a little bit about, is it overused? Is it underused? We're striving for perfection that we may not ever get, but that comes from the fact that all four of us that have played, we've never played the perfect game, but that's always been the goal. The ambition is to play the 10 out of 10, coach the 10 out of 10. That's always what we're striving for, always looking for improvement. So we all come from that place of, the game is great, but we're looking to improve. On the bunker, is it time to have one individual do all games, all 27 rounds, including Origin, including finals, or another theory of mine, a voting system, former coach, former player, a match official, when the decision comes like the Penrith no try to Ruva, it's hopefully a fully aligned, unanimous decision. Try. If it's not, it's the majority wins.
Well, I would say with the one individual, that's a lot of pressure on one bloke.
But it's achievable.
I think it's insane to put that much pressure on one human being. One referee doesn't referee every game. You're going to put one person in the bunker. The minute they make a mistake, imagine the focus that falls on them then. We see what it's like.
Well, is it better than what we currently have, though? I think we've agreed we're never going to get perfection.
So how many games a week do they do? The person.
If we're going to try and get closer, if we're trying to get closer to perfection, is that the best way rather than what we currently have?
No, at the moment, how many games do they do?
I don't know what the rotation is. I don't know how often they put them in there, but they obviously share it round.
Yeah,
I think one person, it's too much pressure to put on one person. I think you've got to share it around. And if you're doing 8 games a weekend over the course of 30 weeks, 27 weeks of the year, that's a lot of mental fatigue I'd imagine you would have. You're making crucial decisions like that every weekend for every game. I think you're putting too much pressure on one bloke.
But it's a high pressure job, and it would, of course, it's a high pressure job, but it would be rewarded financially.
Would it be?
Because our game
the
is
job worth, Jimmy?
well.
Put your hand up for it.
I know someone else. Will you sit next to me?
You do reward this person because you appreciate that it's a high pressure job. Just like head coaches are a high pressure job. Just like CEOs are a high pressure job.
James, I've got my view on that. Like we talk about, we have referees and if they're not good enough to be on the field, we put them in the bunker. Is that right? Yes, we do. Our best referees are usually on the field and the other ones are in the bunker. Of course, you're a referee doesn't make you a good bunker official.
Yeah, agree.
So you need to be able to. It mightn't even be a referee. But I suppose you need to know the rules of the game to be in the bunker. But someone be able to handle pressure doesn't mean that they're good out in the field. They move well. They get the 10. They judge their 10. They've got good ruck awareness. Doesn't make them good in the bunker. So I think we need to educate and coach the people in the bunker.
So it's a different role.
It's a different role. Let's get 100 examples of bunker decisions and coach the people that are in the bunker. Because it could be me or you. We can't referee a game, but we could be good bunker officials if we know the rules.
I'd argue that being a bunker official is easier than being a referee. Because your variables are taken away.
Yeah.
So in terms of like the decision-making process, it shouldn't be that. That's the idea of the bunker. That's the idea of any assistance to a match official with Hawkeye, with VAR. It takes away those variables. It almost gives you the answer for you. Like, is it a no try? Based off the laws of the game, is this a try or not? Well, based off the laws of the game, I've taken away the variables, the fatigue. I've got 100 different things to view. When it comes to the decisions that the bunker are involved in, the variables are reduced. You get your time over again. You can pause. You can go back. You can look at a different angle. So
some people would be better at that process of assessing. Okay, the rules are A, B, C, and we've passed that. We've ticked that off. And now I'm having a look at this to see, whatever the situation is. And some people are going to handle those situations better than others. Just because you're a referee and you're a good referee and you don't get the job for the weekend, like there's a dozen referees not refereeing this weekend, doesn't make them good bunker officials. I just think we need to coach bunker officials.
So a more specialised.
Yeah, specialised role.
I'd agree with Flano because I think we need technology in the game, right? And people say take the bunker out. I don't think that's an option. So I'd agree it's a specialised role. And we just need to keep working on so we can better it rather than getting rid of it, I'd say.
I'm not a fan of your voting system though, Jimmy, either. Well, that's not going to move the clangers or the occasional howler. What if you get two blokes who agree and get it wrong?
But what do you want more people in there? You're thinking
confusion.
You're thinking I'm asking for perfection. I'm not. I'm just striving for better.
Why don't Chuck Annesley in there? He's the one that goes over the rule. Every Monday he's got to do the review.
Maybe he could be that person that could handle that pressure because he knows he's got to front the.
He's coaching the referee.
Following week.
Do you really want more people in there?
Just Annesley. Just one.
Yeah. Well, there's enough room for three people to be in this. They don't communicate with one another, so they don't affect each other's thinking.
They're not going to communicate with each other.
They don't need to communicate with one another. They look at their angles that they want to see, and then they make a decision. Try, no try.
Yeah, but they're going to be influenced by the person beside you.
But you don't speak to them.
Well, you're going to hear what they're saying. How can you avoid them? They're sitting beside you.
Because you don't need to talk about what the decision is. You can just press the button, try or no try.
Yeah, so if it's 2v1,
can I see that again? Can I see that angle? I want to go back to angle B. Just how they communicate. Anyway, you have three operators that would control and see and dictate what that person sees or requests to see.
I don't know. I don't think we need more people in the bunker. I think that'd just convolute things.
It's pretty hard enough for the one.
Just with the bunker moving away from try scoring opportunities, which they check every single try. Is there an overuse now of the bunker? I spoke about how the environment has been set where we're seeing a trend of players. They appear to have a touch on the lower leg. They stay down because they think they're going to get a hip drop, a touch to the face, and they stay down. They're playing for a penalty for a high shot. Should the bunker be allowed to come in for those non-try scoring opportunities.
I'd like to hear your view on this, Woodsy, because you're a player. Like, have you stayed down?
No,
Never.
no. There's no need to say that. You know when you've been hit on the chops, you know, and for me, it really frustrates me, especially sometimes we could be in a game where our player gets a knock on the head and they want to stay down for that penalty and it just ruins your whole momentum. But I personally think, you know, when the ones are serious, when the bloke hasn't moved, but the ones I cannot stand is when, like you said, Jimmy, someone gets a little flick on the hip or thing, they wait, as soon as the referee blows a penalty, they get straight up. I think there should be a rule around that. If that happens straight off for like what we call a HIA.
Yeah, but you could just say, if the referee misses it, then it's play on. You play the ball. No penalty, no sin bin.
Can't do that, Jim.
But what if it's
Sometimes they miss bad ones. And you can't allow the bad ones to go by.
But, okay,
I think
it's the lesser of two evils.
I actually think this is one area of the game where they've got better as the years gone on.
I agree.
Yes, I agree with that.
Now, if a bloke gets a tap in the face and stays down, it's just play on. The bloke
It was
gets up.
silly early on.
plays
It was silly
There's
early
a lot of crushes that, the player with the ball feels that he might have got a crusher and they just play on. It's
Yeah.
not a crusher tackle. There's some, bordering on high tackles. And I agree with Woodsy. It slows down the momentum of the attacking team. The defensive side set their markers, set the defensive line. So there's no real advantage. I think the ones that players are staying down are, halves when they're getting hit late, when they've passed the ball, which sometimes goes unnoticed from the referee because he follows the ball. And they probably, this is a tough one, they probably need to stay down to get someone's attention that, hey, there's been a foul. So that's a really hard one for a coach to say, hey, if you get hit late and you're a ball player, or lay down to get the penalty because we need the penalty. Usually it's in good field position. Because if you don't, sometimes, it's okay to be tough and brave, The JTs and of the world, they got hit late all the time and they got back up. In the modern game, if you get hit late, get your team a penalty.
10 in the bin as well.
It could be a 10 in the bin. So it's a tough one. If they play the game, players that play the game are tough. So let's not say, you're lying down, you're not tough. But I think there's a fine line that, the rules are you can't hit halfbacks or ball players late. So sometimes they do lay down.
For me, I don't think we've eradicated it enough. I think we've seen a lot of players elect to stay down because if they're inside the 40, they know they'll get a penalty.
But they're not getting the reward they used to, Jimmy, now.
Not at this stage of the season.
Yeah.
Throughout the
year.
Earlier in the year, yes. But then are we going to stick with what we're currently seeing?
I think we should because the refs, as you said, got better. We're not going to penalise players for staying down like the English Premier League. Like that, we can't go.
We can't. It's hard to simulation, but you could certainly just never have the bunker interfere, so they would just stop.
We played our game. Do you remember Magic Round, Messi?
Yeah.
Tommy Turbo got flicked. Oh, no, it wasn't Magic. The week before Magic Round, it was against the Dolphins.
That was
Jesse
the Bromwich challenge.
Jesse Bromwich probably hit him with a finger.
Yes.
And he stayed down for 2 seconds, got the penalty, and got up. Yeah. That's not rewarding.
It's not good for the game.
It's not good. It's a terrible look on the game.
Yeah.
It's one of the blemishes at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, but again, I think that's an area of the game that they now...
Because we're at the finals, they're going to take the PO.
But I even think later in the year they started to work that one out and they stopped giving penalties for just slaps.
Well,
but I don't think you can take the bunker out, Jim, because sometimes they miss high tackles, bad ones.
Like the Walsh Suolihi one in State of Origin. That's an extreme example, but
even
hip drops, they miss hip drops sometimes, in the tackle. There could be 2 or 3 in a tackle and they miss a hip drop. They definitely miss the late tackle on ball players. So, you follow the ball. You need the bunker.
You need the bunker for that because you've got to pick them up because they're serious and blokes get charged. If you imagine if they missed the Nelson one the other night.
You're not going to miss that.
Well,
He didn't play the ball straight.
I'm just saying,
that.
imagine if they had missed the Nelson one the other night.
Well, my other one is the interpretation as well. Like with the kickers, Flano, he always says when the halves pass the ball, but when you kick him, you're supposed to go in to make a tackle.
Yep.
Yeah.
As soon as you don't hold a player up there, the halfbacks fall down. My great mate Mitchell Moses is the king of it. He'll get tapped and try to lay on the ground and get a penalty and milk it straight away.
I asked Graham Anderson about that the other night, and he said that's not right. You don't have to be making a tackle. Because there was one in the Melbourne game.
As the referees come to our training and tell us what we've got to do in the preseason.
Yeah.
But
He said, I don't know where that's come from.
Remember Brownie's one against Cronulla? It was a really soft one.
Yeah.
They're confused. The players, that's one area they're confused. I don't know if they're tackling or holding. What is the rule? Well,
I don't know if they are confused. Like if you're talking about kickers, so
chasing the kicker.
if the kicker's in the air, and you have and contact or one leg, and you put him in a dangerous position, that's a penalty. If you catch the kicker, as I know Manly do, just catch him and hold him, that's fine. You don't put the player in a position where he could be injured, I think is fine. Late, obviously, there comes into it as well. And I agree with Woodsy. If you're going to actually take the player to the ground, it needs to be a tackle.
Yeah, gotcha.
Well, the blokes just put their hands up now and let them go.
Yeah, they do.
Then we get in trouble. We're letting them run straight through.
Well, would you be okay with a player simulating final? So I think there was an incident this year. It might have been when Manly played the Warriors. Warriors went for a field goal.
We had a draw in the back of it.
They missed. And
Josh Alloway flicked.
But there was contact on
his leg.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, so you're on the receiving end of that Woodsy.
Yeah.
And then I think even later in the piece on another field goal, a player didn't stay down. Like they could have stayed down.
Yep.
Like for the player and the coach, is this something that you've kind of just go, well, look, guys, it gets us the 2 points.
Remember Harry Grant got suspended for that, didn't he? It cost him games.
Yeah, it's a tricky one because some of the players think they can get to the ball and obviously charge the ball down or deflect it, and they actually come in contact with the kicker's legs. Yeah, so and that's what we can't do.
The boot comes into the space where the charge is coming, so to speak.
Yeah, there's been quite a few of that this year. Even some downtowns where they've just gone through and he's just caught the player's leg and he's flipped him around or just put him into a position. But once again, and I think that's been adjudicated pretty well this year, and players know that you can't touch the kicker's legs. That's for sure.
I think that one came around the Josh Alloway tackle because of the week before. There's a South player that broke their leg.
Oh, yes.
That's what we're going to worry about, like fans, and then that goes away. So look, I know you hate it already, but
the one rule though I can't stand is when there's 3 players in a tackle, and if you lift a leg, it's a penalty or 6 again. Remember when they did it? I think we did that in our trial match against you guys early in the year. Remember Manly?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a tricky one because, as soon as you lift one of the players' legs off the ground, the referees are calling held, where, back in the day that you could you could just take them back as many metres as you liked, as long as you didn't take both legs off the ground. So a bit of a tweak there.
Don't you think most players, that doesn't happen much anymore because that rule's in place? Well, if you don't see many penalties or 6 against for that.
Yeah.
So that's been eradicated from the game.
It's a real tough one because, then you bring the sideline into play. So many times I go, his momentum wasn't stopped there, and they throw him over the sideline and the referee goes, held. And he go, no, he's not held.
Yeah, he's not. Yeah.
So I reckon that's why we're seeing a lot more hip drops, because there's 2 people in a tackle. You're trying to use your legs to get him down, and that's how you land on them, whereas the third bloke would come in and just lift the leg and drive him down.
I love how we talk about all these decisions, but that's why we love the game, because it's not perfect.
We always try to find a way, don't we?
Yeah.
When they make it, we try to beat it.
In 2018, the NRL came out and said we're going to police the overwhelming majority of the rules all the time. And I thought they were very close to getting buy-in because, Flano, you as the coach, if you sense that the environment they're blowing the pee out of it, a way to gain a competitive advantage is to say, well, let's just get on board with how they're reffing. And how they're efficient. If the roll ball, for example, if they're penalising every ball that doesn't seem to be an attempt to play the ball, what are you telling your players?
Yeah, exactly.
Play the ball properly.
Attention to detail. And, there's 2 sides to that too, James, is that if the referee's blowing the pee out of the whistle, and some days, we've played sides that we want to have set starts. We don't want to be in a flow. We want to tie them down, make them kick out of their end, sets, starts and all that. It might happen every now and again, 1 in 10, 1 in 12. But, it's interesting, and that's where the key players in our game, the Nathan Clearys, can understand the flow of the game and what's needed at the time, and obviously the coaching to know what the trends of the referees are.
That's the classic one, the roll ball, right? Because they go through stages. Remember a couple of years ago, they really clamped down on that.
Well, they got Andrew Fafita.
Yeah.
He was the one that probably started it, the last one that I can remember. He was just rolling it through, and, we had so much trouble with him, because he'd practice it and we'd do it, and then all of a sudden he'd start to get fatigued, or he wanted to quick play the ball and goes back to bad habits and rolled it through. So,
but now that rule's not policed at all. There's not been a penalty for that this year, and so many guys just roll the ball
Well, that's the environment that's been set,
Basically,
right?
don't even- well,
You
Just
just
going to have an attempt.
well, have they? Is that what they've?
You
they've
don't have
told
to
you,
touch
right?
the ball.
No, you just got to have an attempt with your foot in motion.
Yeah, the definition of an attempt.
I reckon the
is
one that they are really focusing on is when you got to stand up before you put the ball down.
Yeah.
That's what they're really policing in the ruck.
it wouldn't surprise me to see them have a little focus, and when the match officials go through the 17 teams in their pre-season and their off-season would be just letting you know we're going to be looking for this.
Yeah.
We're going to be looking for this. I don't think it. Again, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, because you want that free-flowing game, but you want to see players make an attempt. But then as soon as a penalty's blown, it's
I'll tell you one thing about the referees. They know the players that tend to do it a lot. Like I said, for Fida, I was on the tip sheet a fair bit, and they'd come to you in the warm-up and say, look, make sure you use your foot today. Or they'll give you a little tip.
That referees are going in with a premeditated idea.
They
of
have
what
for years.
And you're never going to be able to change it. It's like us when we got game plans of footy.
Yep, they have for years. They have tip sheets and they know trends of players. It's just the way they've got a referee. Probably the one at the moment over the last couple of years that sides have had to adapt and clubs have had to adapt to is the 6 again. Because, you on your try line, you could give 2 or 3 away. I know sometimes they'll give penalties or sin bin, but, as a fan, sometimes you don't know, what was that for? Because it happens so quickly or it's post the incident. We tied it up a little bit this year inside 40 metres that it's a penalty. It's a clear-cut penalty, but it's still some referees compared to others in different games, you could have, 8 or 9 6 agains per game. Or even per half, and then the next half it just dries up. So it's something that's definitely changed. If we look at, you go, there was eight penalties. No, but there was 9 6 again.
Yeah, the penalty count is lower, but the 6 agains are higher. Just on that, like, some people complain, we don't know what it's for. But, well, one, do you need to know? And B, it's just for a ruck infringement penalty. It's not for a high shot. It's not for, it's either for being offside or ruck infringement. The referee goes 6 again. Like, do you actually need to know? Because if you need to know, it's going to slow down the flow of the game. The very fact that the 6 again rule was brought in to speed it up. Now, before the 6 again, it was a penalty and you'd get your explanation. But the explanation means you slow the game down and you get into, like you say, you get out of that flow state and it's that stop-start nature, which we're trying to move away from. So the consequence of the 6 again is you don't necessarily get the full explanation, but is it something we just have to put up with?
Yeah, well, that's you answered the question too about the flow. The reason that we brought 6 again in is to continue the flow and stop this stop-start football that it continues. We just play the ball and we get on with it, which I think is, great for our game because it's fast and, you could have 6 or 12 tackles on an opposition's try line. Yeah, and I agree. Do you really need to know? As a coach, we need to know. But at the time, probably not.
We're one of the worst clubs, I think the worst for 6 agains, and we have to fix our disciplines. Part of the problem, I reckon, this year for us, that we're a high level of 6 agains, and Woodsy on the field, you march down the other end, you lose momentum. So I'm not against the rule. I think it's doing its job actually speeding the game up, but we were one of the worst perpetrators, and we need to fix that up at the
There's
off-season.
times in the games where you'd probably, as coach of ball, you'd rather get the penalty because you've had so many shots, maybe settle things down, but you're not going to get it that way because it is 6 again. So, but as a player, sometimes I reckon they wasn't there as much.
Well, it's just the when, Woodsy, like if you tackle 5 and they're just going to kick, they're just going to kick and they're inside their 40, I'm going, Woodsy, why?
Yeah.
And again, that would create another headache, right? Because
exactly
giving the referee discretion over when he potentially gives a penalty, and then you're not going to get, you have wild inconsistency between games and terms of when a referee decides.
I know, we know now it's
is a penalty,
40,
not a penalty.
It's probably the best way you're going to have to do it at the moment.
Yeah. Striving for that perfection. Another issue of the game that's been around for a long, long time, forward passes and forward pass technology. Look, again, you're never going to get everything right, but why don't we use the video ref to be allowed to judge on forward passes?
Because come out of the hand backwards and then float forward. That's basically the reason.
Yeah, you can see that.
That's not their explanation for it is camera angles, where the cameras are, the angles of the camera. And
they're not going to be exactly in line, are they?
Well, that's the problem, right? So different parts of the field, it's more difficult to distinguish whether the ball comes out of the hands backwards because of the camera angles.
Don't you think we should have a crack at the technology, though?
They try.
I think we should, because at the end of the day, it's like Hawkeye, right? That's just changed tennis, right? There's no howlers, but, there's even against the Bulldogs and Manly, like, it turned the game, like Lehigh's past Ethan Bullimore. That was forward. I was sitting in line with it, but it was let go.
Right.
well, man, so
I was halfway.
that's what I
I
was in line with it. So look, I think at the end of the day, we should push on with the technology with the forward pass. Otherwise, you'll never get it right.
I think the issue is they trialled the technology a couple of years ago, didn't they?
That was the thing, chipping the ball.
Yeah,
wasn't
chipping
it?
the ball. And the technology, I can't remember what the issue was, but the technology wasn't good enough to satisfy them that they could bring it in.
The chip in the ball, if the ball goes backwards and, as Woodsy said, the ball out of the hands goes backwards and then travels forward, that's okay. If we're going to use technology, why can't we use the world record in the swimming pool line? It's very similar. There's a line across where the ball leaves the player's hands. We've got a line that we can just push up the field, and then if it comes out of his hands and goes backwards, we'll see it against the line. And then if it travels forward, post that and goes over the line, we're okay with that because we said it can. But the swimming pool world record line or whatever you want to do, why can't we have that and then just line it up with the players when it leaves his hands? What are you laughing at me?
Yeah, could be money.
I just think it would be quite amusing seeing a line travelling across the screen. But
Well, do it across the swimming pool.
I don't know why they haven't looked at that. I don't know what the answer is there.
But in the end, I don't think it's a major problem. There's not that many. I reckon the referees get it right most of the time, except for in Messi's games.
And there was a big one,
just on that one in particular, we speak about viewing it from different angles. Well, like on the camera angles. Well, the referee is viewing it from an imperfect angle, and so are the touch judges. So are you, and so are you. So in order to make better decisions, wouldn't we go and look at as many video angles? And if it's inconclusive, then it's inconclusive. We stay with the on-field decision. But if it's a howler, we go, well, hang on a minute, let's just.
Can I ask, so
back
you're
to
talking about the bunker and the bunker getting involved in play and have we got it right? So we want to add another layer to the game.
Only for
where the bunker gets involved.
Well, for a try or a try scoring opportunity, yes, because it's there. It gets involved in every try now.
Yeah. I like that, James, because sometimes as a coach, we see something go on and we go, I hope we don't score from this play because they will check it. So we actually want to get tackled so they can't go back and check it. It's pre that tackle. So I think, once again, it's part of the game that, they're the rules. So, like, if it is a forward pass, let's get tackled so they can't go back and check it. It's part of the game and sportsmanship or gamesmanship.
Yeah. I think I'm of the opinion, I'd have no issue with them being allowed to use video replay to see if they think it was forward. And in terms of the technology, sure, again, is it worth investing in the bunker person? Possibly. Is it worth investing in this? Or are we just going to wait for international
the chip in the ball? Or
I don't know if
the chip in the ball.
I don't know if a chip in the ball would work because you'd need other data points. You'd probably need a smart field, and because the laws of the game say it can actually travel forward, maybe it's time to change that law and say it can't actually travel forward. We've made a number of amendments to the laws of the game.
Yeah,
maybe you could say, look, in order to bring in Flano's swimming world record idea, or to make it more perfect, you could change the laws of the game to say, no, the momentum rule as it is no longer in play. The ball has to travel backwards.
It's a significant change because there's a lot of those long floating passes that tend to drift forward. So I think that's going too far. I mean, maybe they should. I think they should keep looking at the technology. The chip in the why couldn't they? Like the chip in the ball. They, as I said, they trialled it. And it was a couple of years ago now. So surely in the 2 years since they last trialled it, they've made some headway. Surely the technology's got better. Surely there's a chance that it's now at a point where when the ball comes out of the hands forwards, I think the idea was a beeper went off and let you know that the ball had travelled forwards immediately. Surely we're at a point, or almost at a point, or we'll be at a point one day where we can make that work.
Back to the referee.
Well, I think it went to the bunker. I think.
Oh, I just think the ball travels in so many different directions. It'll be bipping non-stop.
Yeah, would be.
So how we well, was that from a pass or a kick or what it was? It's a tricky one. But as I said, I think it's a small problem of our game. And but do we want the bunker to come in involved in forward passes? Not for me.
Jimmy wants perfection. He's up.
What
Would you say is
we all do.
imperfection?
It's it's pointless to that.
Yeah, because it keeps you in a job, really.
Imagine how long.
Yeah.
Imagine how long the decisions would take. They already take long enough as is at the moment with the bunker.
Yeah, well,
And they want to pick a game.
This technology would instantaneous. It wouldn't even. It's like the goal line technology now in the Premier League.
And then, you know what?
It
The
is
bunker will
just a goal.
stuff up
Or
again.
it's not a review. They don't do the square in the air. It's just beep. It crossed the line. Now that is probably more definitive to rule whether or not a ball has crossed the full ball has crossed the line. So the goal line technology is coming again. Very rarely an issue in world football, like very, very rarely, but they understand the consequence of getting that
So
right.
is that technology in the nets, the goal?
It's in the ball, I think, isn't it? From
It would be the ball, and I imagine there would be a plane that it has to break. So similar, like when we do a short kickoff and it has to break the plane, there would be some piece of technology there, but that would be the plane on the goal line, or that shows that it's being crossed, and it is instantaneous. The referee goes goal given.
So you want that as well in the short dropouts too?
No. With
It's okay, they want to go after, they go over the line, they come
there's a
back,
number
yeah.
of times in those windy days we play in open stadium.
They go last line and clear.
Jimmy, this sounds too difficult. Can we?
Just put it
Can we
to
just
the hard
forward
basket.
passes, yeah.
Oh, if you're willing to accept
Well,
it.
I'll accept forward pass.
Okay. Captain's challenge. So I'm torn on this. The captain's challenge comes in. I think that gives the referee a little bit of a safety net, and it discourages them to make the difficult decisions because they know that they've got this captain's challenge up their sleeve. And again, that leads to more bunker interference. Do we like what it's produced so far?
I was actually opposed to this when it came in. I didn't think it was a very good idea at all because I thought it's more stoppages, more bunker involvement, but actually I think it's been a raging success, the Captain's Challenge.
Oh, really?
I think it's worked really well, yeah.
You know what I don't like about it? When they captains challenge a specific moment, but in the same play they look at other things.
Well, that's okay. If it's wrong.
I don't like that. That was where Trevor got that penalty where it was a captain's challenge for
Well, mine was the captain's challenge when Melbourne played Penrith last time. They went for the 20-metre kick. They thought he was over the line. The foot was over the line, but Howe ended up being offside.
Yeah.
And he wasn't captain's challenging that.
no,
That's right.
yeah, but that was the Melbourne players that alerted the referee.
You can't have it both ways. You can't say
They
we want to be.
themselves in.
No, sorry, the Penrith players that alerted the referee. Yeah,
You can't say we want to be close to get as close to perfect as we can, and then all of a sudden, we spotted
want
Howe.
to-
We wanted Howe. We found Howe who was offside, and we just want to turn a blind eye to that. I think we found a foul in that play. I agree with Rudy. I think it's been fantastic. The captain's challenge. I think it's interesting. Some of them coming in and saying, obviously
Certain players that
some
do it.
players are barred from doing it. Wingers and front rowers.
Do you want Flano or what?
Yeah.
My wing is very, very much barred. Zach Lomax is barred.
He says yes every time.
Oh, he's never made an error. So
By the front.
Yeah, you don't listen to that, man.
I reckon with Manly, if the challenges come from like Tom or Daly, it's going to be, we're going to overturn it. But some others, is questionable.
Ruben Garrick.
Yeah. He gets it wrong a lot, really.
I reckon if you
want to go for more?
if you're down by more than 20 in the last 10 minutes, they should go. Like, you should be banned.
That is a
Like,
bit annoying when the game's over and
Yeah.
they just throw a
As
captain.
a commentator, you're thinking, I'll be done any moment. And then it's just like, they've both got captain's challenge up their sleeve. Game's been dreadful. Someone's dominating. I'll just throw a captain's challenge in for good measure.
It's worked really well, Dave. I mean, I think it's worked really
So
well.
do I agree.
I think generally the teams use them quite well. I think that occasionally they waste them and it's not necessary. But I think as a general rule, it's been a really good introduction of the game.
I think you should get 1.5.
Yeah, 1.5 is.
1.5.
Oh,
not
you just want more.
Yeah, I think 1.5. I think we're trying to make the game as close as we can to being, if the coach, if the player captain thinks there's been an error and unfortunately it just doesn't go his way in the first 10 minutes, let him use it.
Sometimes they're reluctant.
Yeah, they're
reluctant.
reluctant, and it's right, and they should have. They doubt themselves because of the clock.
Yeah.
So I think you should be allowed one in each half.
Here at the Buy Round, we listen to you, the fans. You wanted to say in the Rugby League Roundtable. So for Series 2, we have listened and we have got the fan question segment. So, and this is all thanks to Ladbrokes, a huge supporter of the show, being with us now for a number of years, and they were keen to get on board and they wanted to bring in the fans as well. So big thanks to Ladbrokes and all the team there, your best destination for everything involving the Spring Carnival, the same race multi. What a feature that is. So we'll get into those questions right now.
Question for Jimmy and everyone on the table. With officiating, how, I guess, inconsistent it is and how frustrating it is for fans, especially new fans, do you think it's overcomplicated? Like, we've got too many rules, too many things going on. If we simplify it, will that, ease a couple of the problems?
I think you should just go and watch a game of rugby union and then come back and see if he's got the same question. Our game is pretty simple. I think from a rules perspective, I don't want to talk about the other code, but I think new fans and the old fans, the rules haven't changed too much. They've been around for 100 years.
Yeah, I agree. I just think our game's flying. Why change it?
Yeah.
Well, that's it. Why change it? But then it does appear like every year something new comes to the table.
I just think we're trying to make it better, right? And as long as we don't get the howlers and we're trying to get that out, we use the technology to avoid that and try and be as clear as possible. And I think, the game this year, it's had more crowds than ever before, and we don't have to tinker with it too much.
James, sorry, Woodsy, but you just prompted me on to think about something. I hate the obstructor or the disruptor. That's something that was brought in this year that
It's still there.
it's coming. It depends.
That is one of those moments where most people at home go, well, what's going
What
on?
happened there?
Yeah.
And that's a rule that's been brought in this year.
Don't you think that there's been a lot less of them in the second half of the year?
Great.
And that's partly because I think less of it's happening. So it's actually had an effect on the players.
I don't think it's it's not a bad thing for the game, the disruptor.
Oh, you don't mind the
I
bloke
don't
just
want
waves?
it. He's contesting the ball.
He's not. He's just trying to distract.
Yeah,
So you're happy for him to do it but not get penalised?
Yeah, but he's made that effort to kick chase and get down there.
That's a separate argument, would he?
Yeah. The only rule I get worried about for fans watching is the 6 again, which we spoke about. Sometimes you don't know what they are, and you're like, oh, damn, this ref's hammering us again. I wonder what he's hammering us for.
I mean, the interesting thing about the disruptor was it just came from left field.
Yeah,
I
that's it.
don't know that anyone had particularly kicked up a stink about it.
And it came in January, I think it was, we're a month or two away from playing trials, and the disruptor and the downtown rule came in. If there's going to be any...
Well, that was shocking, yeah.
The downtown rules for blokes that, Woodsy and them that have played for 10 years, they know it's tackle 5. Hey, get on your bike.
But how many penalties have we seen for that?
No,
this year?
which I agree, because the players and the coaches and them have drilled it into them, don't you go early.
Well, that's where this policing of it has worked, because obviously the threat is a penalty with the ball, which is an absolute coach killer. You never want to be penalised with the ball, which would happen against you. And so the threat from the coaches is, don't you dare concede one of these.
The one I liked on the weekend was the Penrith one. When you put kick pressure on and you're coming back on side, you've got to be behind the play of the ball. And James Fisher-Harris and get back. I like that. That's a great rule. You got to stick with those sort of things.
One of the focus points this year has been the blockers. That was something else that came in on field goals. For me, it should be difficult to put kick pressure on a field goal. Like, some players were there, they weren't getting the ball, but it should be hard. I don't know if I like what we've seen this season so far. I was happy with the product the way it was.
Yeah, I've got my view on it. I think when the ball is being played, if you say, James Graham gets himself into a position and holds that position, you have every right to stay there.
Yeah.
You can't put a wall, so you have to be on your own.
Which is how it used to be, yeah.
So if James Graham or Aaron Woods get in a position, when the ball's being played,
To
And
be
then
able,
don't move.
to be able to get the ball, you mean?
Yeah, to get the
Yeah.
ball, behind the ball. They are an
Yeah.
option. They are an option. They just can't disappear. So if you're an option and the markers have got to run around you and you don't obstruct them, they should be allowed. So I think that's a change of the rules. Like, as I said, if I'm using James as an example, if he was in position to carry the ball and stay in that position, he should not be ruled an obstruction. Blocker.
Can I be devil's advocate here for you, Flano? So, okay, he can get the ball, but he's got no intention of getting it. He's just there to...
We have decoys all game from the starting minute of the
This isn't a
game.
moving decoy. This is a bloke
They let him to
standing there.
move. Let him, when the ball's being played, you stand there and you slowly, we can go as slow as he likes. He can go walk if he likes. He's still a decoy. So we've changed the rules.
But
We
it's
have
not
decoys.
really, because a decoy isn't a decoy supposed to give the impression they're actually going to get the ball?
Exactly.
Well, he's walking. He's not going to get the... We know he's not going to get the ball.
No,
He's
well,
standing
Some
still. We
decoys,
know he's not going to
some
get the ball.
decoys, you don't want to get the ball. You want them to just make the defender.
Hold.
Yeah.
Do you remember the Newcastle Cronulla game?
They tested me.
Yeah.
I remember.
That's sharp.
It was not a penalty.
No,
and
it
they had to
wasn't.
give, they had
It
to give the
wasn't.
one to the Sharks a penalty because what they did in the first.
And we've opened up an environment now where
Telephone
the
issue.
chasers, can be offside because the bunker can't officiate on that, which is perplexing.
So we
But
need a
also,
swivel line back, we need a
you can
swivel
actually
line.
just run into any player that happens to be there. Just run into a player.
Because Golden Point, the offside's a problem. If you go back to every there's someone to be offside,
Oh, mate.
right? So why don't they fix that first before?
Yeah.
That's a fair point. I agree
Yeah.
with you on that. I
Yeah.
think they need to be able to look at that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Again, I think it's all technology related, right? And angles, and if Flano's world record swimming line comes in,
Yeah. Well,
we can use it on that as well.
you know, that rule about being in position to receive the ball and the players having to run around has been in place forever and a day in field goal position. I just think we've opened up another rule now with the blockers. It makes it so hard to get the job done. You know, basically you just got to, hey, all get behind or out of the way of this drop kick because, you know, we're not going to think, but we're the attacking team now, but we're not worrying about you blokes over there being offside. We're only worried about this team over here.
Before the attacking
But what's wrong with setting the field goal up so the kick pressure doesn't matter? Like, why do you need the blokes there necessarily? Why do you need guys getting in the way?
Because it's
just
hard
drop
to
back
kick a field goal.
Just drop back 2 more metres, 3 more metres.
If you got a slow play, the ball's over
Seriously,
it's
like,
hard.
why do you need the bloke standing there?
To make it harder for the opposition.
Right, so that's what they're there for.
Yeah. To make
Not to get the ball, they're there to make it harder for the
Okay,
opposition.
but then why would I run a lead line? I'm making it harder for the opposition.
Basically saying, why don't we score a try and move the defenders the other way?
Yeah, basically,
No, I'm saying
which it
blokes
is.
shouldn't just stand there
Just
cynically.
means you can't have lead lines on any play. So
No,
if we
because-
score,
No, because these guys are there for a specific purpose, to block the defenders. They're not there to fool
isn't it-
defenders into thinking they're getting the ball.
Isn't that what?
They're just standing there.
In the try scoring situation, they're there to block defenders as well.
Reedy, what about
That's obstruction. We get penalties for that.
Not
What about
the inside shoulder?
Well,
escorts on the kicks? Like sometimes they get in the way and sometimes they don't. Sometimes give a penalty, sometimes they don't. But escorts, that drives me mad as a rule because sometimes you see obviously players getting run off just because you do it a little bit better, then others get penalised. Like that's a blind as well.
That's an interpretation, right? Referees got to make an interpretation on that.
Yeah.
Just like they've got to make an interpretation on blockers and whether they're legitimately running decoys or just standing there to block blokes.
yeah. And I understand it really, and we know the rules and what the players have got to abide by them. But was it a big problem?
I'm with you, Flan. I don't think it was. I don't think it was an issue that needed
Was it
to
a
be
big problem?
tackled.
No,
I
it
wouldn't
speaks
have
about
a major
it.
issue with it, but I understand why they brought it in.
But we bring it in, and then we're talking about it again here now. You know, like it wasn't a problem in the first place.
That's Charlie
Why
and His fault. Put it on the sheet.
And also the fact that that particular incident, like a field goal, will be game defining. And that's why it gets the attention that it is. You know, we can talk about obstruction and, you know, the flow-on effect from the missed knock-on in the Melbourne Roosters game. And we don't know where that goes. But it's usually a field goal it is match defining, and you forget absolutely everything that's happened from each mistake that players and match officials and coaches have made along the journey to that final moment. It's like, well, hang on. That's decided the game.
But Jimmy, it's the cynical side of it, right? Why do we want to promote cynical play? Because that's what it is. Just standing a bloke there, and he's got no other
You know how
purpose.
hard it is to kick a field goal in a game?
Look, no, I don't, clearly. But what I'm saying is you've got two blokes standing there sitting, and the only reason they're there is to block the defenders. They're not there to get the ball. Let's be realistic.
Yeah.
That's no other purpose than to block the defenders.
his job
So we're encouraging. Why would you encourage that as a game? Look, it's a cynical act.
Well, you don't encourage it. You just don't need to discourage it.
Well, that's encouraging it.
I just hope this weekend, we talk about, say if the grand final's decided by a field goal, and might even, to take them out to lead by 7 or so on, then we're always, we're going to look at the blockers. So we've created this problem for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to look at, were the markers square? Did someone go early from the defensive side? I agree with, I think it was Woodsy or James talking about the advantage used to be for the attacking side.
Yeah.
Now, in this one moment, we're going, no, we're taking all that advantage away from you, and we're not even looking at the defensive side.
Okay, well, we've deliberated. We've not really found any common ground, really. Really, you've been...
Well, we have. It's us 4 v here.
Yeah. We'll finish up on the officiating of the game. We'll just go around the room if they'd like to make one change or keep something that's currently happening. Tony,
I just think they put the whistle away during the year. I just reckon that we should referee it consistently throughout the year, not trying to have some kind of crackdown on something. I just think that works for the semis at Origin, so it should work during the year.
I've been happy with the refereeing this year, believe it or not. No, I have. We've had some dud calls. We've had some dud calls, but in the end, I just think it's been pretty consistent. I know we don't want to use that word. There's a few rule things that, obviously that's not about the refereeing. So I've been happy with the refereeing. The rules, like as we just talked about, some of them frustrate me a little bit, but overall, and I just hope, the refereeing has nothing to do with the result on the weekend.
Woodsy change anything?
Mine just the HIAs when people get hit high or the hip drops. I think the players that are staying down milking should come off and do a HIA for 15 minutes.
Absolutely.
And one thing I'd love to change, actually claim not to be the ref for the grand final.
Oh, no.
Where's my man Adam G? I don't know what he's done wrong.
Oh, poor Adam G. You sound like Buzz.
Down on South Cronulla Beach, maybe, or eating budgies. Yeah.
He does down there.
He does.
Jimmy, I actually think, don't think it's been too bad this year. The refereeing, the officiating. I don't think it's been horrendous. I think it's been better in the latter half of the year. I think we all think it's been better.
It's been better in the finals, not the latter half of the year.
Yeah, okay,
I think
the finals. But
The first two finals. Yeah.
hopefully they carry
the
that.
recency bias. The back end was tough.
Hopefully they carry the momentum for the finals in the next year. That'd be my wish.
Yeah,
My wish.
No chance.
Because we hate talking about ref. People think we love talking about officiating. We don't. I think it's a bit boring for the punters.
Yeah, I think they like it because it's emotional. It sparks debate. I'm with you all in terms of like this current model of refereeing until the pendulum swings when the coaches and the players just go, we know they're not going to blow the pee out of it, and we'll be back talking about how slow the rucks are. So until then,
it's on you, Flanagan.
we'll be back.
Yeah, well,
Won't be long.
I think we said is it refereeing or bunker? Are they separate? Because I think not too many people are going to go, I'm really happy with the bunker.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're happy with the refereeing. We've just got our concerns about the bunker.